shouldn't we actually look at what we call living now, what is taking place?
Yes.
What actually is going on, which we call existence, living, those two words to cover this whole field of man's endeavor to better himself. Not only in the technological world, but also psychologically. He wants to be different, he wants to be more than what he is, and so on. So when we look at it, in whatever country, in whatever race, or whatever religion they belong to, it is a matter of constant struggle. From the moment you are born, the moment you die, it is one battle. Not only in relationship with other human beings, however intimate or not intimate, but also economically, socially, morally. It is a vast battle. I think everyone agrees to that. I mean, that's obvious. The conflict, the struggle, the suffering, the pain, the frustrations, the agony, the despairs, the violence, the brutality, killing each, all that is what's actually going on. Spending 40, 50 years in an office in a factory, occasional holidays for a month, and a wild kind of holidays, because the holidays are a reaction to their monotonous life.
Time out.
Time out, or whatever it's called. You see them all over Europe, Americans, going from museum to museum, looking at this, that, rushing about, and that is an escape from the monotony of their daily routine. And they go off to India, and there are, I believe, about 15,000 so-called hippies in various dresses, in various monasteries, in various cities, doing the most fantastic things, selling drugs, some of them, and putting on Indian clothes, dressing up as monks and all that. It's a kind of vast, romantic, sentimental escape from their daily, monotonous, routine life. That is what we call living. The battle in relations, the battle in business, in economic environment. It is a constant struggle.
What you've said seems to be ingrained into the grasp of this living itself. We have a saying, life is a battle. We interpret it in terms of what you've said.
And nobody seems to say, why should it be that way? And we have all accepted it. We say, yes, that is part of our existence. If we don't struggle, we are destroyed. It's part of our natural inheritance. From the animal, we see how it struggles. So we are part of the animal, part of the ape, and we must go on struggling. We have never said, is this right? Is this the way to live? Is this the way to behave, to appreciate the beauty of living?
The usual question turns on how to engage the battle more effectively.
Effectively, successfully, with least harm, with least strain, with least heart failure, and so on.
Yes.
So on.
Yes.
But the ground is prepared for struggle. The monks do it, you follow, sir?
Mm-hmm.
The religious people do it. The business, the artist, the painter, everybody, human being, however compartmentalized he is in battle. And that we call living. And a man looks at it, intelligent man says, for God's sake, that's not the way to live. Let's find out if there is a different way of living. And nobody asked. I have talked to, great many politicians all over the world, and to great many gurus. We'll come to that. It's a very interesting, that word, what it means. We'll go into that. And I've talked to artists, to businessmen, to artisans, to laborers, very, very, very poor people. It is one constant battle. The rich, the poor, the middle class, the scientists, you follow, sir?
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, I'm following.
And nobody says this is wrong. This isn't living. It's bleeding.
I was thinking about the literatures of the world of a visionary nature that tend to be divided into three basic statements in terms of their form and content. On the one hand, we have epics that deal precisely with the representation of the battle of life.
Odyssey, and we've got the Odyssey, we've got
the Iliad,
the Mahabharata, we've got so many other books, all praising this thing.
And then others deal with what we call the journey of life. The Odyssey would be specifically related to that. There are many battles concerned within it in terms of confrontations between individuals. And then there's the notion of life as a fulfillment. But we hardly ever get to the question of the fulfillment, and when these are studied, they are studied in terms of a literary form. And the question that you've raised, which it seems to me would be a question that should be presented to the student in general.
And it is an authentic question. It's a question that must be put.
I was reflecting as you were speaking that in the classroom itself, it's taken for granted that this battle is what it is. It is to be related to with fortitude and so forth, but the question concerning it doesn't arise.
No, but to some young people it has arisen, but they go off at tangent.
Exactly.
Either commune or become a Hindu, you follow, go off to some ancient country and just disintegrate. Do nothing, think nothing, just live.
Which is really a lateral move,
lateral,
not a vertical one.
That's right.
Into the question, yes.
So, it is a valid question, and it must have a valid answer. Not theoretical, but say, well, I will live that way. I will live without conflict. See what it means. I may be smothered. I question whether you'll be wiped out by society if you don't struggle. I've never struggled, personally. I've never thought of battling with myself or with somebody else. So, I think a question of that kind must not only be put verbally, but in the expression of that word, one must see if it is possible for each one of us to live that way, to live without a single conflict. That means without division. Conflict means division. Conflict means the battle of the opposites. Conflict means you and me, we and they, Americans, Russians, the division. Fragmentation, not only inwardly, but outwardly. Where there is fragmentation, there must be battle. One fragment assuming the power and dominating the other fragments. So, an intelligent man, if there is such a person, has to find out a way of living which is not going to sleep, which is not just vegetating, which is not just escaping to some fanciful, mystical visions and all that stuff, but a way of living in daily life in which conflict of any kind has come to an end. It is possible. I mean, I have watched it all around me for the last 50 years, the battle going on around me. Spiritually, economically, socially, one class battling the other class. And the dictatorships, the fascists, the communists, the Nazis, you follow, sir?
Yes, I do.
All of them have their roots in this. Encouraging obedience, discouraging obedience.
Yes.
Imitating, conforming, obeying, all battle. So life has become a battle. And to me personally, to live that way is the most destructive, uncreative way of living. I won't live that way. I would rather disappear.